All right, folks. I just came from the theaters. I watched Transformers: Dark of the Moon in 3D. I'd like to do a little bit of a review on the movie. Try to say my inputs. A little bit of a disclaimer. This review will have a lot of spoilers. This particular video I'm doing is really intended for those who've already seen the video, already seen the movie, and I'd like to to express my opinion about the movie by mentioning details about the movie in particular. So if you've not seen the movie, close this video now. Just watch it after you've seen the movie. I gave a fair warning. If you're still watching, watch at your own risk. Also, whatever I say here is just my opinion. It's just that. I don't mean any disrespect. I don't mean to diss anybody. This is by no means defamatory, or I have no intentions of disrespecting those who made the movie or putting them down. I just want to give my honest opinion about the pros and the cons, the bad things and good things of the movie, and hopefully, really, this will help those who made the movie do better work next time, just to improve, because we're always improving. Nobody's perfect, and yeah. So, with that being said, let's get on with my opinion. The movie was a mixed bag of emotions for me, to say the least. I got a different feeling after watching it compared to Revenge of the Fallen, or the first one. To say that this was the best out of all the three, in some ways is yes, and in a lot of ways no. And let's get right to it. First point I'd like to say is the movie had visually one of the best effects, visual scenery, imagery I've ever seen. If you're going to watch this movie, you better watch it in 3D. 2D is not going to cut it. The work Michael Bay and his crew did on just the 3D imaging and capturing the scenes of Transformers on Earth really deserves to be seen in 3D. Well, if you don't think it's worth watching 3D, but you can do it on 2D. But I'm telling you, if you want to get your money's worth on this movie, better watch it in 3D so you can appreciate the effects and the way this thing has been filmed, because that's probably the best thing this thing did. All right, having said that, the movie had a lot of story showing, but not a lot of storytelling, which is really bad for a movie of this scale. Because movies, when people made movies, it was really to tell a story, a good story with moving pictures. Now, if you just have moving pictures and no story, no clear story to tell, and that really brings down your entire movie. I think the whole movie had a lot of elements from G1. I think Michael Bay did some research. There was Cybertron coming into Earth. It was very reminiscent of a G1 episode back in the 80s where they tried to, yes, use a space bridge and bring Cybertron to Earth, and it caused a lot of weather changes in the Earth and whatnot, and really was about to destroy Earth. That was very good. Second, the lore about the Ark, about a ship escaping from Cybertron, that was pretty cool. The idea of the space bridge, that was G1. Carly, even the character Carly was very G1. A lot of scenes, a lot of elements in the movie were researched very well in G1. I'm mentioning a few more as I remember them. However, there was incohesiveness, lack of unison with the entire telling of the story. The story was simply this. Sentinel Prime was defecting from Cybertron, crash landed like in the 1950s on the moon. The space race began because of that event. They tried to be the first to discover the aliens. Optimus Prime finds out that they did it in the past and wants to know what happened. So he he rescues Sentinel Prime and tries to recover the weapon which was on the ship, which was really the space bridge. Space bridge is a teleportation device which allows you to move ordnance faster and troops, which is really a transportation weapon. Little did he know it was a plot of Megatron to actually resurrect Sentinel Prime, because Sentinel Prime was defecting in the sense that they would meet with Megatron, bring Cybertron to Earth, and rebuild Cybertron. A very simple plot, and yet very G1, but you need to tell the story well. The events that take place have to be connected. They have to be relevant to each other. You cannot just string up a bunch of images or a bunch of scenes you just shot and then try and tell the audience this is the story and just let the audience's imaginations run wild. A lot of the major scenes felt as though they were just all shot and strung up together with missing transition scenes. How do I say this? When you move to the next major scene, you always get this feeling like, what happened? When you're inside the theater, you're watching it, what happened? How did that happen? And then your imagination starts working. Oh, okay, maybe Sentinel Prime just did that, or maybe Optimus Prime did that. Okay, fine. That happens once, twice, maybe 3 times in the movie. It's forgivable. It happens like a lot of times. Every single new scene that happens, there is always a missing transition scene. And I think Michael Bay spent too much time trying to show what happened in a particular battle that he had to chop off the very short relevant scenes to transition one scene to the other and make a cohesive story out of the movie. And I'll give some concrete examples in a while, but these are small, minute scenes that could have added more to the movie and made it more relevant, made the scenes more relevant, made it more cohesive. Let me just check my notes. So, poor storytelling, and the transition between scenes could have been better if, let's say, there was a scene that they resurrect Sentinel Prime. The next time we see Sentinel Prime, he's in alt mode as a Rosenbauer fire truck in the desert. If you had no idea, if you haven't seen the toys, you're not a toy collector, you're just a big fan of the movie, you've never gone through the toy stores, you don't know what Sentinel Prime's alt mode is, you would have no idea that was Sentinel Prime. It would have only taken 2 seconds to show Sentinel Prime scanning a Rosenbauer fire truck. 2 seconds. It was that easy. They were able to show a Decepticon that went through the space bridge, scan a utility truck, and transform into it. That took 2-3 seconds. I think they could have done that with Sentinel Prime. But again, you let the imaginations go. You're probably saying, just let your imaginations go. And think about it. It's obvious that's what he did, right? But if you're not a big fan of Transformers, you have no idea what Transformers is, you won't be able to piece that together. That works because you've seen Transformers 1 and 2. And you know what Transformers are. If you have no idea what the first movie and second movie was about, if you have no idea what this Transformers are, you will be lost in this movie. Second, there was an event, the last battle, Autobots just get captured. How did they get captured? They're quick. 3 seconds to show how they were all surrounded, and another scene that was left to your imagination. Also, if you keep tabs on Carly, her clothes keep changing in the middle of battle. She gets captured at the party of her boss, played by Patrick Dempsey. She's in a cocktail dress, a blue sparkly cocktail dress. Then she gets held hostage, wearing a white jacket, white suit with white slacks, and a white blouse. I'm like, okay, Patrick Dempsey allowed her to change. She packed some clothes in her car. Fine, agreed. I'll buy that. Then she gets rescued by the Autobots, goes back into battle wearing jeans and a sweater, which is what Carly looked like, almost like what Carly looked like in G1. And I'm like, okay, Lennox or Sam, as she rescued, had time to pick up clothes for her, and she could change? Oh, come on. You don't exactly expect us to believe that, right? A lot of disjointed scenes, really, just Optimus Prime just vanishing. In the middle of battle, he just vanishes. And then just suddenly reappears to save the day. With his backpack on, with his jetpack on. You don't even see him get his jetpack on. We saw it in the first scene, when he first fought Shockwave. And then the next scene, the final battle, he loses his trailer again. I don't even know why he keeps dragging that trailer along with him, if he keeps losing it. And then he says to the soldiers, I want to get that trailer because my jetpack is there. And a lengthy period of time happens and we don't see him. And then all of a sudden he's got in his jetpack. You begin to think, oh, okay, fine, he must have gone down, got in, and I mean, but you've got to show that. It will take 3 seconds, 5 seconds for him to come down, jump down, get his trailer, and take it. A few seconds is not going to hurt the length of the movie. And then he gets tangled, as he fights Shockwave, he gets tangled in a bunch of wires and cables. He asks the wreckers to help him. And they try and cut him, but you never see them actually successfully get him down. And then all of a sudden, he flies. He's flying again to save the day. And when in fact in the previous scene, his jetpack got hit. And even being entangled doesn't make sense. He has axes and blades and he can get himself out, and he couldn't. Okay, enough of that. The other thing about storytelling that was really absent was, this was a good point that was pointed out by my good friend Robert. Some of you may know him, but a good friend of mine, he saw it also, saw the premiere, and he was the first one to mention to me that there was a lack of a central hero, a lack of a central character and focus in this movie. I'm like, between the two of us, I'm the one with the humanities major, a lot of literature units. I took a lot of literature classes, and I did not pick that up sooner. I don't know if he has a literary degree. I don't know if he took up a lot of literature, but he was very astute in pointing that out and saying that, in the first two movies, the central character, the central hero in the film was Sam. You could literally rename the movie Sam and the Autobots, and it would still have worked. In the first movie, Sam was the unwilling hero. He just got caught in the war, and he became the hero. He killed Megatron by the Allspark. In the second movie, again, he did not want to be the hero. He because of his valor, self-sacrifice, that central theme of self-sacrifice. He sacrificed his life to save Optimus Prime, in the same way saving his own life. He saves the day. And I was sort of expecting that to happen in this movie. It started to build I thought it would happen because they were building up to that. The same thing happened in Revenge of the Fallen, that he came upon some information. He said it, and then all he did was become a messenger. He never saves the day. In fact, he wasn't even successful in like Patrick Dempsey was the character Patrick Dempsey was trying to bring back the space bridge switch. For lack of a better term, and Sam wasn't even able to stop him. It went online, and Sam, with his desperate effort, gets a club and beats Patrick Dempsey's character, and then he gets electrocuted and falls. I don't even know if he's dead or not. That, to me, he didn't even save the day. It was Bumblebee who actually ended up saving the day, and it's fine. Bumblebee's a hero. He can save the day. What's wrong with that? Nothing, absolutely nothing. But you're expecting Sam to be the central character of this story. It says in the beginning, his struggle was always relevance. Every hero has to overcome something, relevance. In the first two movies, he felt he was nothing. He could not save the day, and yet he found himself saving the day. Here, he wanted to be a hero again. He was struggling with being mediocre. And he was a messenger. And that messenger, no offense to all messengers out there, I'm sure that's a noble job. But for Sam, that was a put down. That was very derogatory for him. He did not want to be just a messenger or a mailroom staff. He wanted to be relevant. And he had the chance to do so. And yet the script did not allow him to do so. He did not save the day. They should have focused the story on him. He found what the Decepticons were up to. He had the makings of becoming a hero. I mean, the character of Frances McDormand was already twice pointed. She was in awe that Sam Witwicky was in the heat of battle, trying to save the day. And that was building up to a climax that he would eventually save the day. And yet he doesn't save the day, which is a bit of a letdown. And I think that's the result of having Orsi and Kurtzman absent from the writing team. Both the first two movies had Orsi and Kurtzman. Their stories and script were so cliche and unbearably corny, but they had all the elements of a decent plot and storyline. A central character, a central hero with conflict, trying to overcome an obstacle and triumphing in the end. Getting triumphant in the end. In this particular movie, everyone was like an extra. Everyone had a small role. There was no central character you could root for. It was Sam. Then the focus lost. The focus was lost. It came to Sentinel Prime. The guy defected, and he stuck with his decision. The guy didn't even resolve his conflict. He already saw the good side in Optimus Prime, and yet he decided to ignore it. He decided to stay his evil ways, and he died trying. He didn't even try to change his ways. I mean, Darth Vader, it would have been nice if there was a Darth Vader moment and it's a little bit of goodness in him surfaced in the end and he saves himself. Everybody wants that kind of scenario where salvation happens. And yet it doesn't happen. The guy just dies siding with the wrong guys. There was no sense of triumph. There was no sense of overcoming an obstacle. A lot of you are already getting bored with this literary analysis. I wouldn't blame you for changing channels. So please, by all means, change channels now. Go to another video if this is boring you at all. But to tell a good movie, to tell a good story, you have to have all the elements present. Optimus Prime was never the central character. If he was leading the charge, he should have been present in all the battle scenes, or at least a glimpse of, oh, he's doing this, and an overview. There's a battle here, there's a battle there, but a sort of overview of what the battle's going on. And yet Michael Bay chose to show snippets of a battle here that happened. They win, they fight, they lose. Another battle, and you sort of try and piece together what happened. Then Optimus Prime magically appears, saves the day, then he's gone again, and then he saves the day again. It's very disjointed. Yeah. A little more on that. A lot of scenes were shot that I think could have been edited out. And I appreciate why Michael Bay shot a lot of the action scenes. He wanted to make the movie look cool. But if you're going to shoot an action scene, regardless of how cool it will make the movie, it should contribute to the essence of the plot. It should move the plot forward. For instance, the Dreads. The Dreads were so cool. One of my favorite scenes. They attacked the Autobots, Dino, Sideswipe, Bumblebee, Ironhide. It was great. But had they deleted that scene, it wouldn't have changed anything. They would have gone to Sentinel Prime, says the Decepticons are after you. You got protected. Then Sentinel Prime turns on them, kills Ironhide, kills them all, and then he takes the space bridge and goes with the Decepticons. It wouldn't have mattered whether the Dreads were there or not. You see, I mean, I'm glad the Dreads were there. It was so cool, but they should have been more relevant to the story. Also, what's interesting was they have a duel with Ironhide and Sideswipe. Ironhide and Sideswipe force the Dreads, drop your guns. We'll do this mano a mano. No guns, just hand-to-hand combat with some weapons. Sideswipe and Ironhide get whipped at a certain point, and Sideswipe decides to give Ironhide a gun, and they shoot them with guns. How fair is that? Anyway, going back to the theme of the story, this is supposed to be for kids, but there are some elements in the movie that I felt should have merited this movie an R rating, an R13. And it's about killing, meditating and telling someone, we're gonna kill you. In the first two movies, there were killings, fine. Robot to robot. Optimus Prime decides to kill Bone Crusher, and Sam kills Megatron, fine. That was self-defense. Kill or be killed. They had no choice. Revenge of the Fallen. Optimus Prime kills the Fallen. He kills a bunch of other Decepticons because it was either kill or be killed. In this movie, he deliberately says, we are going to kill them all. Do you really want your kids listening to that? Fine, it's war. He has to kill people. He has to kill the enemy. Fine, I'll buy it. So he kills everybody at war, all the Decepticons, the minions. Fine, that's all great, because they're all going to kill the humans. Optimus Prime saves the humans by killing them. Fine. Then the last scene, he faces off with Megatron, Sentinel Prime, and him. And with one arm, his arm gets cut off by Sentinel Prime. And Sentinel Prime gets injured because Megatron was convinced by Carly that Sentinel Prime was going to be the boss and it wasn't him, so he had to deal with Sentinel Prime. So Megatron decides to join the battle. And Optimus Prime, suddenly, with just one arm, one left hand even, gets his axe and chops Megatron in like a second or two. Chops his head off, and it's all over. Megatron's dead. In a way, I was sort of glad that happened. This was sort of the violent Prime I wanted to see back in G1. G1, he was so nice. He could not kill his fellow Decepticons. He just wanted to capture them, change their ways. There was a certain time that I said, why don't you just kill Megatron and get it done over with? Now he did, and I was sort of like, was that such a good idea? You really want your kid seeing that? Well, Megatron's a snake. If you don't kill him, he'll rise up and kick you and kill you. So, fine. Kills Megatron. I'm okay with that, I suppose. Fine. Then Sentinel Prime, in his state of incapacity, he's maimed, lost his helmet, lost his armor. He can no longer fight. He's old. Optimus Prime points his gun at him, and Sentinel explains his side. This is the reason I betrayed you. I did this to save Cybertron. You have to understand me. He was practically begging for his life. He's asking mercy. A fellow Autobot who defected. Optimus Prime cold-bloodedly says, no, I have to kill you. He shoots him. He was beaten. He was a fellow Autobot, your friend, who betrayed you. And now he's saying sorry. He's not originally a Decepticon, not like Jetfire, who became an Autobot. He wants to change his ways, and I was hoping to see a Darth Vader moment, a Luke Skywalker saying, I see the goodness in you, I can still save you. And yet Prime does not show that quality. He just decides to kill this guy because you betrayed me. And that to me was cold, and he should not have killed Sentinel Prime, despite what he's done. Goodness, the value, the virtue of being good. When your enemy's down, begging for his life, and you know he used to be your friend, and he became your enemy, you should be willing to forgive, and capture him, punish him, do whatever you want, but you do not cold-heartedly kill him. Especially if you are Optimus Prime. Megatron, I can totally understand. Decepticon minions, fine. Starscream, whoever, Bone Crusher, Fallen. But this was Sentinel Prime. For a while was his friend and mentor, and trying to see the error of his ways, and you should have been able there to save him. And Prime just shot him, and I was, wow. And then the movie ends abruptly. You don't know what happened. If all's well in the world, in both movie 1, Revenge of the Fallen, there was sort of like an epilogue scene where everything's fine. Everyone's been rebuilt. Bumblebee, in the first movie, Bumblebee's regained his legs. In the second movie, Optimus Prime is well and good, talking to Sam. Here, Optimus Prime just ends with one arm being slashed off. He just kills Sentinel Prime, and everyone's safe. And he gives a speech about freedom and humanity, and we would never betray that. And that's it. There should have been an epilogue showing him and maybe Sam again, that all's right with the world. I think that was a little bit lacking. It ended so abruptly. So very, very dark Optimus. Yeah, I think I've exhausted all my points. But regardless of that, lack of storytelling, lack of the virtues of self-sacrifice, and lack of a good script, the movie still has good points. It's got a lot of humor in it, very funny quips. All the characters, Malkovich's character, Patrick Dempsey, Sam, characters were all funny, and yet it seemed like they were all just extras. They all just had very, very small roles. No single character had an extensive role as being the central character, and despite that, it was all funny. There was a lot of good scenes, fantastic visual, appealing scenes. Oh, I forgot to mention the sound. The sound was great when there was a scene evoking emotion, cathartic scenes, asking the audience to emote with the characters. But there was a lack of a fast-paced, adrenaline-moving sound like in Revenge of the Fallen. I totally enjoyed Revenge of the Fallen because it was fast. The soundtrack was boom, 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 bam. I mean, everything was adrenaline as an adrenaline rush. This one was like rush, stop. You had no idea if this was going to end, if this was going to go forward, backward. The pace was never there. So great action scenes, but some sound would have been better. Continuous building up. You know, when you have a plot, it should always be building up from a low energy level, low emotional level, going up, 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 and then climax, and then epilogue. That's what happened in both movies, the Orsi Kurtzman movies. In this third movie, the mood was like up, down, 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 up, then down, down, up, oh, it's going up, up, down, and then going up, and then up. All right. I do apologize for if I sounded whining. I was glad I watched it. I'm a big fan of Transformers, always have been. Great characters, great visual, but very, very poor story, inconsistent scenes, a lot of poor dialogue, lots of character flaw, poor character development, no central theme, no central character. For that, I'm just giving Dark of the Moon a 6 out of 10. Revising my old other scores, Revenge of the Fallen was a 7 out of 10 for me, and Transformers the movie was an 8 out of 10 for me. My suggestion is, Steven Spielberg, you've got to step in. He's a good storyteller. He's got to step in and telling the story. He needs to. If Paramount wants to invest in more Transformer movies, they should reboot this franchise. Do another brand new, totally different 3 new movies that are completely linked with each other. I don't care if there are cliffhangers in the first 2 movies, but you've got to link these 3 together, just like the Star Wars trilogies. And get a decent director. I mean, Michael Bay's decent. He's great at telling action scenes. He's one of those who wants to fast forward the story to the good parts, but skip the boring yet essential parts. He's pretty decent in that sense, but he's very poor at storytelling. You need to get somebody like Kenneth Branagh, J.J. Abrams, Jon Favreau. These guys tell very, very good stories. And they may not be as good telling action scenes as Michael Bay, but they will tell you a good story. In fact, you watch X-Men First Class, that movie had a brilliantly told story. Despite the special effects here and there, but you had no idea what mutants are, you would still fall in love with that movie because it had a great story to tell. Thor, with all the myriad stories in the comic book, decades of comic book history of that, Ken Brown focused on one story about Thor and his overcoming his being such a spoiled brat god and becoming a true hero, becoming man, accepting that you need to be grounded, and he overcomes that and becomes a hero. He gets his hammer. That's a good story. Green Lantern had a good story, just some bits and pieces missing. But in fact, Green Lantern's story was told better than this Dark of the Moon story. Iron Man, fantastic story, focusing on Tony Stark. Central focus, always emphasis on the central hero, central character, central plot. Build it up, climax, and then end it properly. Dark of the Moon, just a lot of bling, flash, lots of action. You know, if you're the type who just wants, you don't want to think, you just want to get a good action scene movie with lots of action scenes, fantastic sights, great actors, this is one for you. Oh, I wanted to mention about Carly, the actress. What's her name? Rosie Huntington Whiteley. Contrary to what a lot of critics say, she was pretty good. I actually liked her there. She had a range of emotions, great, cute British accent. Just like Megan Fox, their acting skills are the same. But I really, really loved Rosie, and not just because she was a hot girl, but I liked the way she talked, and her face just lacked a little bit more expression. But I thought she did a fairly good job for a first movie. So there you go. All right, that was a mouthful, and 30 minutes. I hope YouTube allows me to upload this. That's my take on the movie Transformers: Dark of the Moon. If you're a big Transformers fan, go ahead and watch it. You have no idea what Transformers toys are. You didn't watch the first two movies. Don't bother with this movie. You watch the first two first. Check out the toys and then watch it. Transformers: Dark of the Moon movie review and a bunch of spoilers by fxfranz. Thanks for watching and listening to me.